This is Moray Robert B. Holman Jr.
Moray Sean Appleton,
and this is
Hebrews in Exile. Sir,
Yes, sir.
colleague, friend, mentor,
Yes, sir.
once again, we're back at it. How are you?
I'm doing quite well. I've had a very restful and peaceful week so far,
Okay.
and had a lot of things on my mind to think about and to come and to talk about. I'm not sure exactly where we are going to wind up tonight, but we're going to get in the train, start the engine, and we're going to see where the Most High takes us.
That's right. Let's follow the cloud. Let's see where it takes us.
We are, as a Hebrew nation of people, we are in exile.
Yeah. Yes, we are. Very much so. Babylon.
And things that are germane to the land are the land. There are different houses of Hebraic thought, and every house has a right to their thought projection as long as that thought projection's foundation is solidly based on a Torah principle, a rule, or a teaching of the Most High El.
True. And reinforced with, I think probably to add to that, reinforced by situations that are ancestors and precedent that has been set also within text as part of the narrative. You can see your ancestors doing particular Torah mitzvot and practicing them.
There is a teaching that I taught this past week out of the book of Yeshayahu, Isaiah, chapter 62. 61, might have been in 61. And we talked about the fact that the Most High talks about bringing Hebrew Israel back to the land.
Yes.
And the critical part of the teaching of text has to do with the covenant.
Okay.
The Most High said, and now I'm not a person that's always going to tell you where in text something is found, because I don't remember, but I know it's there.
Okay.
The Most High made a covenant with our ancestors, Abraham and Moshe.
I think you're in Bereshit, chapter number 17. I think that's where you're at.
And he said to them that Hebrew Israel was going to be dispersed into the four corners of the earth. And from that point, he said to our ancestors, I will bring them back.
Okay. That's great news. There's hope.
I haven't found anywhere in text where the bringing back has any criteria other than that he said, in the end of days, I will bring them back.
Yes.
we have been summarily guilty of teaching or saying things that would suppose that the only people that are going to be redeemed, the only Hebrew people that are going to be redeemed, are those that are following and walking in the mitzvot in this exile. Is that true?
Come on.
Or is that not true?
No, that's not true. Some old people are going to be coming back with us.
So the question becomes one, where in text did the Most High say he's only going to redeem Hebrew Israel that's walking in Torah?
I don't know. You tell me, because I don't know where it is.
It's not. You know, and we kind of explained that.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of explained that in, let's go back. I got to go back to the prophet.
Yes, Yahoo.
Ezekiel.
Ezekiel.
I got to go back to Ezekiel.
Okay.
I mean, we touched on it in the teaching this last week. But let's go back to 37 and 15.
37 and 15. Major prophet Ezekiel.
And you know, when you read text and you read what the prophets have to say,
Mm-hmm.
you have to realize that the prophets speak in three different tones. They speak in the tone of the past. They speak in the tone of the conviction that the Most High has with Hebrew Israel being not responding to his ways.
Mm-hmm.
And then they speak in the voice of the day of redemption. You speak in those three voices. In this exile, the question that I'm going to pose to you
Okay.
is, why are the mitzvot so important to us in this exile? Why? Why do you think they are? Why would you say they are?
My knee-jerk reaction is that it's not germane to exile. The mitzvot are important whether you're in exile or not. It is a definition of how the Most High wants his nation and set-apart people to be, exile or not. When you're in the land, they're in play. When you're outside of the land, there's only certain ones that are in play, but they're important because it separates. There's a division that separates the Most High's people from the nations,
Okay.
upon which we are to be leaders too.
Okay. Now, with that being the case, is it not by text? Once again, I don't know where it is. Okay? I just know it's there. Is it not the responsibility of Hebrew Israel to teach the nations? Was that not a criteria that the Most High put on Hebrew Israel?
I believe so, yes.
Was to teach the
To
nations?
teach the nations, yeah. To be the leader and teach the nations, yeah.
Well, if it's our responsibility to teach the nations, then why are we teaching them? What's the purpose? What's the purpose in the Most High giving the challenge to Hebrew Israel to be a teacher to the nations? And number two, is that criteria only germane in the land, or is it germane outside of the land? See, I'm trying to wrap my head around this whole idea that Hebrew Israel, even in the exile, is exclusive. And I don't find Hebrew Israel being exclusive other than the fact that in the mind of the Most High, she is the most important nation of all nations to him.
Correct.
And she is his bride, his wife.
Yeah.
So with Hebrew Israel being the Most High's wife, it only makes it logical that she is exclusive to him. However, the nations that join with Hebrew Israel and worship the Elohim of Hebrew Israel, as Numbers 14, 15, and 15 says, makes them part and parcel with us.
Sure. You have a plethora of mitzvot that are germane to the foreigner living with you. It says that's plastered throughout all several mitzvot. I mean, to answer your question, I think that, in my opinion, all souls are precious to the Most High. And so, by way of that, there's a leader, which that's what Hebrew Israel is. For those that want to join with Hebrew Israel, you have a leader, and that leader teaches. Amongst Hebrew Israel, do we not have leaders?
Absolutely.
Who teaches amongst Hebrew Israel? What tribe is responsible? The Levites. So even inside Hebrew Israel, we have leaders. So if we're leaders to the nations, I don't think that the Most High, even though the Most High has that narrative that says the nations are just a drop in the bucket to me and a speck of dust, that's when they're in opposition to Hebrew Israel.
Exactly.
So those that want to join with us, granted, there is a position that they play, and there are mitzvot that are germane specifically to them on how we're supposed to treat them. But I just don't think that it's the Most High's desire that a spirit or a soul that's been placed in that body, if it acquiesces to the Most High respects that.
So now, when we talk about wickedness, the Most High defines wickedness in two contexts. The first one is in relationship to a person who knows to follow the ways of the Most High and doesn't. Not only does he call that person wicked, he also calls him a fool.
Okay.
The second narrative of wickedness is an individual who is just evil within his own mind.
Why are you doing that? I'm going to find that.
He's evil within his own mind. And any individual who is evil within his own mind and does not have the wherewithal to turn from his wickedness and evilness will not see the light of day. And amongst Hebrew Israel, in exile, a person who does not adhere to and follow the ways of the Most High is supposed to be excommunicated from the community so that that wickedness will not continue in Hebrew Israel.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, the Most High said that person is supposed to be cut off from Hebrew Israel.
Mm-hmm. I think what you're looking for is in Yeshayahu. I'm gonna get it for you.
So when I look at this whole idea of the day when Hebrew Israel is returned to the land, the redemptive period and the redemption aspect of the Messianic era is specific in that it's germane to Hebrew Israel. Hebrew Israel are the people who are going to inherit, who have an inheritance in the land. I get all that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. We have real estate that is assigned to us.
But the prophets talk about what the nation's responsibilities are going to be in that same period. So, I mean, I don't want to get in I don't want to jump into where my mind is really wanting to go, because I need to save that for a complete comprehensive teaching in terms of what I really believe is the Most High's real intent for what he has, for the human, listen, for the human being that he has created.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the human being that he has created has a soul.
That's right.
And the Most High has always been concerned about the soul of a man, okay, and not the color of a man's skin.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Agreed. Matter of fact, while we're there, Yeshayahu, chapter number 49. I think this is where your reference is. It's actually in verse 6. But I'm going to start at verse 1 and go all the way down to verse 6.
49.
49 and 49. We'll just start at the top at 49, verse 1. It says, the coastlands, listen to me. Listen, you peoples far away. Eya asher eya, Yahweh, El Elyon called me from the womb. Before I was born, he had spoken my name. He has made my mouth like a sharp sword while hiding me in the shadow of his hand. He has made me like a sharpened arrow while concealing me in his quiver. He said to me, you are my servant, Israel, though who I will show my glory. But I said, I have toiled in vain, spent my strength for nothing, futilely. Yet my cause is with Eya Asher Eya, Yahweh, El Elyon. My reward is with my El. 5. So Yahweh says, he formed me in the womb to be his servant, to bring Yaakov, that's Hebrew Israel, back to him, to have Israel gathered to him, so that I will be honored in the sight of Yahweh. My El, having become my strength, he has said, is it not enough that you are merely my servant to raise up the tribes of Yaakov and restore the offspring of Israel? I will also make you a light to the nations, so my salvation can be spread to the ends of the earth. I don't know if that's where you wanted to go, but okay.
Well, yeah. Why am I pausing? I'm pausing, More, because we're in a text that is germane to the preparation for the Messianic era and the redemptive period.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know that 40 to 66 is all about that period of time. However, let me take pause to say that as we read 40 to 66, and it's germane to the Messianic or the redemptive period, within those chapters of work, the Most High gives us language that is also preparatory while we're still in exile.
Sure.
So
yeah.
So this particular text in 49 is a messianic or redemptive text, while it is also a preparatory text for Hebrew Israel, who was the servant of the Most High, to do not only the restoring of Israel, but to be a light to the nations, so that his salvation can spread to the ends of the earth. Now, the question has to be one. Let me see here. In this verse, I say, Yeshayahu says he's toiled in vain, but Yahweh allows him to know that his mission is more than Israel. It was also to the nations. Yeshayahu was called to be a messenger for Yahweh, so we cannot take the calling up on our lives lightly. It's our job to carry out the Most High's will. That is our goal. Whether anybody turns or repents, we are messengers, not just for this time, but also for the future.
Very eloquently put.
So, the task before us, I don't want to get into this, but I got to. What is my purpose if I go back and I look at this idea of wearing tzitzits? What's the purpose?
To look upon them and remember the commandments of the Most High.
For who?
Hebrew Israel.
Okay. Now, they also become a talking point.
Absolutely. What are those?
To anybody who asks.
Mm-hmm.
To anybody who asks. To anybody who asks. To anybody who asks. To anybody who asks.
That's correct.
And then if anybody who asks relates to the answer, and they are not melanated people, so-called Hebrew Israelites, do I tell them, oh, these are not for you? Because the text criteria doesn't say that. It says he that looks upon them does what?
Remembers the commandment.
Remembers what?
The commands of the Most High.
Of the Most High. So I realize I don't want to get into. I don't even know why. I don't really want to get into this.
Yeah. You want to pivot? Because this is a whole nother thing.
My mind right now is locked in, and it has been all week locked in on this concern about the nations. And my heart is toward any soul that wants to know. I'm obligated to teach any soul that wants to know.
Agreed.
Because the text does, while the Torah is given to Hebrew Israel, and I'm wearing them, these tzitzits, in public, and the nations ask me about them and want to walk in the ways of the Most High, am I obligated to say, well, I'm sorry, but these are not for you? That would be, the Most High would slap me in my face.
Can I make a petty statement while you're in there? It seems to me that the more tantamount issue in this whole narrative is Hebrew Israel don't even know who Hebrew Israel is. Why am I worried about trying to figure out what the nations are doing right now? Hebrew Israel needs to come together and figure out who they are first. When these nations come around, that's all fine and good. They can acquiesce if they need to or if they want to, but I guess my whole entire thing is not trying to get wrapped up so much on being exclusionary, but trying to teach our people who they actually are. We're never going to, how in the world are we going to get to that Messianic era to the point where we can be a light if we don't even know who the flip we are? It just seems like a argument or a position that, yeah, we're having that on the side, but I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. Am I off base?
No, I can't. I can't correct you because you're dead on it. I mean, which gets back to my point earlier. Is the redemption period exclusive to only those who in this exile are walking in Torah? Well, we know that's not the case because I'm going to go back to my point in Ezekiel 37 where it was. And I'm going to deal with the text that says down here. And it talks about they.
Okay.
And I realize that Ezekiel here is dealing with Hebrew Israel. I realize that.
Mm-hmm.
But listen to what he's saying again in 23. They, Hebrew Israel, will never again defile themselves with their idols, their detestable things, or any of their transgressions, but I will save them from all the places where they have been living and sinning, and I will cleanse them so that they will be my people, and I will be their Iyeh, period.
Clear statement.
Let's go back again. Let's read it again.
All right. They,
Hebrew Israel, will never again defile themselves with their idols. Now, we, and the point being, this text here allows me to know that when the redemption period happens, there's going to be Hebrew Israel that's going to be redeemed back into the land because it's a covenant. And the Most High did not put any specification on whether they had to be Torah compliant or not. That's not what the text says. He says, I will save them from the places where they have been sinning, living and sinning, and I will cleanse them so that they will be my people and I will be their Yahweh. Is that what it says?
That's exactly what it says. I'm reading the same thing you are.
So that tells me that at the point of Ezekiel's narrative at the behest of the Most High is not being specific in terms of who has to be what and where when this particular time happens.
Yeah, because exactly.
Because now he says, my servant David will be king over them. This is Messianic era. This is in the land. And all of them will have one shepherd. They will live by my rulings and keep and observe my regulations. They will live in the land I gave to Yaakov my servant, where your ancestors live. They will live there, they, their children, their grandchildren forever. David, my servant, will be their leader forever. I will make a covenant of peace with them, an everlasting covenant. I will give them and increase their numbers and set my sanctuary among them forever. My home will be with them, and I will be their Iye, and they will be my people. The nations will know that I am Yahweh, who sets Israel apart as set apart when my sanctuary is with them forever. Now, I mean, I'm trying, I want people to know that the Torah has been specifically given to Hebrew Israel. But we get back to the text in Yeshayahu, that narrative or that teaching was also for Hebrew Israel to teach the nations so that they could be a light to the nations and that the salvation of the Most High could spread all over the earth. Now, is the Most High, why would the Most High wait until he redeems Israel out of exile for his teaching to spread all over the earth, when in fact in the Messianic era there's only going to be one teaching?
Agreed.
I don't know. I listen, y'all. I am not confused on this. What I am is I'm really kind of upset in my spirit. I'm upset in my spirit that I don't even want to go here. I don't even know. I can't get away from it. I really didn't want to go here tonight.
You got a part two. We say.
I really didn't want to go here tonight.
But
is the Most High not concerned about souls?
He is concerned about souls.
Then why can't we, as a Hebrew nation of people in exile who understand truth and His word, why can't we focus on souls? And I'm going to get back to your point earlier.
Okay, all right.
The majority of Hebrew Israel don't even know who the hell they are.
Exactly. Clueless.
So why can't we just focus on souls? Does the Most High say that the soul that sinneth, it shall die? But does he also say, if a wicked man turns from his wicked ways, he receives the blessings of the righteous? And if a righteous man turns from his righteousness to wickedness, he receives the reward of the wicked? And does he not say, I find no pleasure in the destruction of the wicked? Is he just talking about Hebrew Israel?
No. Come on.
I mean, I'm just asking. Is he only talking about the souls of Hebrew Israel? How can he be talking about the souls of Hebrew Israel when he says in Isaiah, I am going to bring the nations with me, and I'm going to make Kohanim out of them? In Isaiah 66. How can that be? How can it be when he says there should be one Torah for you, Israel, and for the nation and for the foreigner that's residing with you?
Bang. Now we're getting back into the mitzvot.
Where does he split off and say it's not for it's not for the nations? Where does he say that?
Yeah, like this. Well, it can't not, because then the prophet would be contradicting himself. I mean, if it's
If I look like I'm struggling with this, I'm not struggling with it. The only thing I'm struggling with the idea that we as a people would have the audacity to exclude souls from the narrative of the salvation of the Most High. I'm not talking about a color, I'm talking about a soul.
If someone wants to acquiesce that is not
Now,
quote unquote Hebrew
Now-
Israel, why are we excluding them?
now I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you. That I can't even go there. I can't go there. I can't even do that. I'm not even going to say what I was thinking. Moray,
Yes, sir.
you know what?
What?
I hope you all understand that I am concerned. Me, Moray Robert B. Holman Jr., as a leader and one who has been called by the Most High to bring truth of His Word, because I ask Him to teach me your truth so that I can lead your people in truth. The Most High's words are directed to a people, yes, yes.
Sure.
But while they are directed to a people, He is also concerned about what He has created. And He has created man. And man became a living soul. Out of the loins of Abraham and Isha come
Adam and Isha.
Adam and Isha come a plethora of human beings. And those human beings took on various ways of life. Some for the action of righteousness, as Enoch taught Torah, as Methuselah taught Torah, as Noah understood Torah, as Shem became the carrier of the teacher of Torah to those who followed after him. Before the Torah was given to Moshe to write down on a scroll, there were people who walked in Torah. And I have to say and ask a question. Was Enoch Hebrew?
Was Enoch Hebrew?
Was Methuselah Hebrew? Was Noah Hebrew?
If they're all from the descendants of Eber.
Because in order to be Hebrew, you have to come from Eber, which comes out of Shem.
Yes.
Shem is not before Enoch. Shem is not before Methuselah. Shem is the offspring of his father Noah.
Right.
So I ask a question. You know, maybe somebody will challenge my question and enlighten me, because I'm asking a question. Were these men before Noah's time and before Shem and Eber, were they Hebrew, or were they just individuals who walked in the ways of the Most High? Who walked in the oral Torah?
Sure. Absolutely. They had to have.
Uh, oh, Lord. Father, come on. Okay, okay. Question.
Okay.
Who was Laman?
Who was Laban?
Laman.
Layman.
Layman. Layman.
Layman.
Layman. You know who Layman was.
Why am I
The
drawing?
daughters that make up the sons of the Hebrew Israel came from Laban.
Laban. Okay. Yeah.
Who was he?
Oh gosh.
Was he a Hebrew?
No, he was from the nations.
Well, I'll
Don't do that, because then I gotta drag David in there.
be a monkey's uncle.
I gotta drag David in there, because I gotta teach on that next month. He married a woman from the nations who happens to be, I believe, Absalom's father. Absalom's mother.
See. Oh my God.
Listen, that's why I made that statement earlier, and I said, when you're looking at mitzvot and you're looking at precedent that has been set by your ancestors, it is clear that they have affiliated themselves with the nations. The nations have mixed themselves inside Hebrew Israel. You can see that amongst the lineage of people that are there. When it talks about, if you go over to 2 Samuel chapter 2, verse 5 somewhere, 2 Samuel chapter 5, somewhere in the middle there, it's going to talk about all the wives that David had. And it talks to you about the fact that some of these women came from the nations. So there is evidence that's there. I'm actually marveling at why you're struggling. Because what mitzvot are you breaking?
I'm not struggling. I'm not struggling. I'm concerned. I'm concerned that the intent of the Most High is being misconstrued.
Well, this is the thought that I had while you were. Go ahead.
And to go along with what your thought, I am going to put together a complete teaching from textual perspective on this subject, because you brought up another point there. Because it was mentioned to me, well, you can't marry a Hebrew brother with a person from the nation. And I go, really? Where in text does it say I can't do that?
I can take you right there. Someone came from Gesher. I know it's in there because I just read it. These people, matter of fact, if you go over Doeg, which happened to be in the service of Melech Shaul, there's a narrative with Doeg is an Edomite, and he's one of the people that sees Melech David, before he was Melech David, go to the temple the temple and associate himself with the Kohen Gadol, because he was on the run from Melech Shaul, and he offers him the showbread that was there. And Doeg is one of these individuals that happened to see this happen. And he's in the service of Melech Shaul. That's what I'm saying. There's too many precedents that are set throughout text with our ancestors that says that these people are affiliated. Now, granted, let's put this in the proper context again. They have their place. And it is not the same place as Hebrew Israel in the series of hierarchy.
Right.
They have a place. And it ain't at the top. I get that. But here's the other thing. Okay. We should try not to make this about a particular group of people. Because when you talk about nations, you're talking about also people that look just like you.
Yeah.
There are people that are from the nations that are melanated just like us.
And here's what I heard. I heard that, oh my God. I'm not even going to go there.
Yeah. Like I said earlier, go.
I'm not even going to. Now, here's the thing, okay? There is going to be a division by the Most High El. And I'm going to come back to a text that says something that nobody can argue with, because you don't dadgummit know. The Most High says he knows those that are his.
True.
You don't know who they are. He knows those that are his.
Correct.
You can't make the Most High change his mind about anything that he has put in place in relationship to defining his. He knows that Hebrew Israel is his, all right? But he also knows those that are his. I can put a thumbprint on, oh, he's talking about Hebrew Israel. I could say that. But I don't know who else is included in his mind that he defines are his. Because the criteria is righteousness within the heart and soul of an individual that matches up what he has asked them to do. That person, and the person that Joel says that calls upon the name of Yahweh, that person will be saved. He didn't say he didn't say Israel. He said he that calleth upon the name of Yahweh, that person shall be saved.
Yeah. And I think if we keep it in that particular context and vernacular, that ideation, that keeps us in a very safe place. Because at the end of the day, I mean, we're going to be evaluated as Hebrew Israel on our ability to execute the mitzvot the best way we know how, even in exile. And if we recognize who these individuals, the foreigner, the widow, the orphan, there's all kinds of categories and classifications that are in there. And how we execute those mitzvot towards these individual groups is what that righteousness is based on.
And you know, when we talk about the Most High's judgment, the Most High is going to execute judgment on everything that is not righteous. But there's a time frame in which he's going to do that.
Sure.
And that time frame can be in this exile. It also can be in the land, and it can be in the land because Zechariah defines the cut. Out of a multitude of people that he honors his covenant of bringing them back to the land, Zechariah 13 or Zechariah 14. Let me see if I can find it. Let me see if I can find it. Oh.
I think I know.
It's in 13.
Okay.
Zechariah 13 and 7. This is a redemptive text. This is a text that is in the land. Awake, sword, against my shepherd, against the man who is close to me, says Yahweh Shavot. Strike the shepherd, the sheep will be scattered. I will turn my hand against the young ones. In time, throughout that land, says Yahweh, 2/3 of those in it will be destroyed. They will die. but 1/3 will remain. That third part I will bring through the fire. I will refine them as silver is refined. I will test them as gold is tested. They will call on my name, and I will answer them. I will say, this is my people, and they will say, Yahweh is my Iyeh.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if we go back to 13 and 1, it says these words. When that day comes, a spring will be opened up for the house of David and the people living in Jerusalem to cleanse them from sin and impurity. Okay? When that day comes, says Yahweh Sabaoth, I will cut off the very names of the idols from the land so that no one even remembers them anymore. I will also expel the false prophets and the spirit of uncleanness from the land. Now, let's look at text. Text says, when that day comes. This is not that day.
That's right.
This is not that. We are not in that day. That day, when that day comes, he's talking about the time when Israel is redeemed and living in the land. I will also expel false prophets. So there's going to be false prophets in the land.
Sure.
There's going to be uncleanness in the land.
Yes.
You cannot continue to live because you are speaking lies in the name of Yahweh. Then his own father and mother who brought him into the world will stab him to death. When that day comes, each one of the prophets will be shamed by his vision when he prophesies. He will stop wearing a hair cloak to deceive the people. Instead, he will say, I'm no prophet. I just work the soil. Since my youth, I've only wanted to be an ordinary man. If someone asks him then, what are these gashes between your shoulders? He will answer, I got hurt at my friend's house. A wake sword. Now I just read this. In that time, throughout the land, Israel, says Yahweh, 2/3 of those in it will be destroyed. They will die, but 1/3 will remain. He's talking about in the land. Not talking about this exile.
Specific.
Yep.
Agreed.
So he allows me to know by Zechariah, and he allows me to know by Ezekiel that the redemption has no criteria on it. Other than the fact that those that remain in the dust and those who are living at when that time comes will be redeemed to the land. Once you get to the land, you've got 1,000 years to get it right. And in that 1,000 years, he tells me here that only 1/3
are going to make it.
2/3 are going to be destroyed. I'm reading text.
I'm just saying.
I'm not spiritualizing text. I'm looking at the absolute understanding of what text says.
Piecing it together, but making a position. You know, we're spending a lot of time over in these prophets.
You have to.
A lot of time over here.
If we don't, I define the prophets as the Most High's accounting firm. They speak to the checks and balances of Torah.
Okay.
All of them do.
I like that. It's nice. Yeah.
So if you don't read the prophets in context, into the period of time in which they're speaking, it's easy to take them out of context and make them say something that doesn't resonate with the time that they're speaking to, because the prophets speak to the past and they speak to the present and they speak to the future. They speak, their voice speaks in those three voices.
So let me ask you this. If you listen to us, we have bounced around quite a bit in these prophets, trying to prove or set a precedent. For the lay person who's not at this PhD level, what shall you say to these things? They have an issue. Simply put, what say you?
To the layperson?
To the lay. Because I gotta realize that people are still trying to learn the mitzvot. They're trying to get to the point. I didn't even know there were mitzvot germane to the foreigner.
Well, let's do this. The majority of people who call themselves Hebrew don't even know what the mitzvot are.
Yeah, you spoke to that. They still have postulating about the idea of Torah. What is that?
They don't even know what Torah is. And they don't know that Torah is synonymous with mitzvot.
Right.
Mitzvot is Torah, Torah is mitzvot.
Right. Agreed.
And some people don't even know what mitzvot are. Oh, the commandments. Well, let's be clear on what text we're reading.
Mm-hmm.
If we're reading a Hebrew text, it's mitzvot and Torah.
Mm-hmm.
If we're not reading a Hebrew text, it's commandments.
And laws. Right.
If I'm reading the Hebrew lexicon, it's mitzvot and Torah.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Totally agreed. So,
and Debar, words of the Most High.
That's correct. So,
listen, people. We can have a debate. When you talk about a debate has a construct. The construct of a debate is to put forth pros and cons.
yes.
The pros and cons are based upon fact.
Mm-hmm.
Fact.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, the Most High is going to bring clarification. So now the question that you asked me, what do we say to the lay? Well, there aren't any lay people, number one. They're just people. What do we say to the person who's trying to wrap their head around truth? I'm going to tell you this by text. Fear Yahweh. For the fear of Yahweh is the beginning of wisdom. Wisdom, knowledge, and understanding is the construct of the mitzvot and the teachings of the Most High. look at them in their literalness. Don't try to spiritualize them. Look at them in their literalness. Where do I find them? You find them inside the 5 books that are defined as Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. Bereshit, Shemot, Vayikra, Bamidbar, Devarim, Hebraically. They're inside there.
Yes. Absolutely.
When the Most High gives a command to do something, that is a mitzvot or a law, a ruling, a commandment, or a statute. Some of them can be done in exile, and all of them can be done in the land.
Exactly.
But all of them cannot be done in this exile.
Correct.
So what we have
100%.
to understand is, what is my duty to the Most High in this exile? And if you can't figure it out, then you need to search for someone who can help you and guide you, who does not have a ulterior motive and looks at mankind as a soul and not the color of his skin. A soul. And man became a living soul. Color is something. Where in text does the Most High specify and speak about color?
He doesn't. There's no place in anywhere in text where a color is defined. And what I mean by that is he doesn't say you black folk, and he doesn't say you white people. It never says that.
He defines everything within the construct of a nation.
Correct. I know. Go ahead.
You wonder why I'm having pause and why it is we're not just rambling and running, not rambling, but we're not just running off with this, because in my spirit, the most important thing in my spirit to mankind is your soul. And your soul doesn't have a color. Your soul isn't black, it's not brown, it's not white. It's a soul. It's the spirit of the engine of the heart of who you are. And it's that soul that's going to be revivificated from the dust. It's the soul that cries out. So my question in all of this is, what does the man do who has a soul, but he don't look like you? But he cries out to the Most High. So the Most High is not supposed to answer him?
Yeah, that's not correct.
Shut the front door.
Yeah, that's not correct. That's not correct. But see, there again, in that instance, if someone makes that assertion, what mitzvot is that?
Yeah. You know
It
what?
isn't one.
You know what, Moray? I think
we got to get back to.
I think that I've said enough tonight.
Sure.
And I've given you listeners something to think about. I know what Torah says, and I'm not one who can just, well, turn to this chapter, turn to that chapter, turn to this book. I've forgotten more of that stuff, but I know what's in them. I know it's there.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that what I've told you tonight, I haven't lied to you. I haven't tried to politicize a response. I'm only asking a question. Is the Most High concerned about the soul of a man, or is he concerned about the color of a man? And where in text does he talk about the color of a man? Absolutely nowhere.
Nowhere. Nowhere.
The soul that violates Torah shall die. That's what he says.
Agreed. 100%.
And if you don't know Torah and you're wicked, but you turn to it, you receive the blessing of the righteous. Ezekiel. I'm going to leave it there for now. I am going to put together a constructive teaching from this perspective for you all to have and hear, because on this subject there is two schools of thought. One of them is absolutely against the nations. I am not of that school. If I lose friends, then I have to say, then you really weren't my friend. If I lose peers, then I have to say you really weren't my peer.
Yeah. Okay. There is a level of maturity that needs to be brought to any type of narrative that's being debated or discussed. Someone electing, here's my point. Let me jump to the thunder. Nobody has arrived, and I have said this before. Let Yahushua, let Moshe, let somebody else, one of these patriarchs walk through here. We'll all be learning. So on the basis of that, we can categorize or compartmentalize this particular train of thought to say, let's not lose sight of the greater picture because we're looking at the individual trees and we're not agreeing on the trees. I don't agree how you season your meat, so therefore I'm never coming over your house again. There's a level of maturity that needs to be brought to the conversation. There are things that you and I talk about that you disagree with me on. Is there not?
Yes, there is.
So we are not continually going to be in complete agreement about everything. That is why the narrative is being brought up, so we can have this discussion amongst Hebrew Israel and, again, strengthen each other. But if it gets to the point where that's a deal breaker, now there's going to be some things that are going to be deal breakers. I mean, if you sit there and say, you know, the Shabbat is on a Monday or a Tuesday, then, and you're walking in idolatry, then yeah, there's some things that we just know. But for gray issues like this, which some people might say that there's not a gray issue, I'm just saying that there's a reason to have a reasonable conversation. We can disagree without being disagreeable. And it should never come to the point where if we're having a discussion and we don't see eye to eye on something, that there's animosity between Hebrews. We are trying to establish a community of people, not break it apart just because we're getting caught up on little idiosyncrasies that are in the text. Go back to my original statement before. We need to actually get on the same page with actually knowing who we are first before we start debating these types of PhD style type issues. Let us all try to understand what the mitzvot are first. Let us understand what the mitzvot are germane to the foreigner first. Let's get that down before we start trying to throw each other under a bus and say, we need to part ways. I can't do this anymore because we don't see eye to eye on a particular issue. That's what I'm saying. There has to be a level of maturity that's there amongst everybody when we're talking about the things that are germane to the Most High, because right now, Hebrew Israel is not cohesive. Hebrew Israel is fragmented. And we need to get back to the mitzvot of the Most High, focus there first, and then these ancillary issues we can talk about and say, okay, well, what's your position on this? That's fine. That you believe that. When we get back into the land and we all come up to the temple and we get and talk, the record going to be straight.
And the nations are going to be there.
Because what does the text say?
The nation said, let us go up to Jerusalem, for the Torah of Yahweh is being taught there.
So, with that being said, hopefully anything that we brought up here this evening, you might have a difference of opinion upon it. That's okay. Let's have the discussion and let's present all the information so we can grow together. But people getting in their feelings about, like I said, idiosyncrasies in the text based on what the prophets are saying. I wasn't there when the prophet was given that by the Most High. I can only go off of what I'm reading contextually and try to piece it together just like you are. So I try to keep that in the frame of mind of anything. Trust me, I've been challenged on my calendar left and right. It's your particular position, that's fine. That doesn't mean that we can't have a discussion. We can learn from each other. Let's do the best we can to be cohesive amongst Hebrew Israel. Because in our day and age, that's what we want to see.
Yeah, and I would like to see us. I would like to see us utilize text in the way that text has been presented to us. Come, let us reason together.
Yes.
In all thy getting, get an understanding. And at the end of the day, my eyes may not be open to the understanding that you have. And your eyes may not be open to the understanding that I have.
That we have, yeah.
But are our eyes open to the fact that Yahweh, the Most High El, the opulent, set-apart Spirit, is the ruler and is the one who has the last say.
That's the point.
Over it all. And I'm going to tell you, I'm not trying to be a total authority because there's too much to know that I don't know, that the Most High hasn't revealed to me yet. And there's too much to know that even this generation doesn't know, that after this generation is gone, there's going to be another level of knowledge that that generation is going to receive as we move forward to the end of day.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. And that's what's exciting. Yeah. So.
But what I will do and what I will say is I'm going to tell you what I believe without trying to add to a thought or have an agenda because I don't have one. I don't have an agenda against the created man that the Most High has created. I'm with the Most High on the fact that his handprint is on everything that he created. And it's not his fault that what he has created has chosen to walk in opposition to his ways and his rules. That's not his fault. He gave us free will to make a choice and choose.
That's simple. That's simple.
Enoch. Y'all don't know. See, y'all don't know the position that Enoch was in. Enoch taught Torah to individuals who wanted to hear it and receive it. And after he died, just like the book of Judges, men and women went back to walking in their wicked ways.
Why not Noach? You stammered with it, but why not Noach? What did he do? You gave me one of the biggest insights from that narrative on Noach. Noach spent 100 and how many years?
20.
20 years preaching a gospel of turn from your wicked ways, and nobody did. Was he just talking to Hebrews? Was he talking to a specific group of people?
No. He was talking to those wicked people that were living in his day. And he tried to get them to turn. They didn't turn.
And they wouldn't.
Until judgment came, and then they said, well, can we get in? And they only really wanted to get in because they wanted to save their hide. It wasn't because they wanted to turn.
That's right.
Y'all, listen. I'm going to close with this.
Okay.
I don't want to be apologetic for getting into the subject because there's so much to say about it. But I do want to be constructive with thought around it and put succinct dialogue to the narrative so that we can all understand from both sides of the fence. I have a position on it. There are other people that have an altogether different position on it. And I don't lean to my own understanding. Prayer, meditation, the Most High comes to me and he asks me questions. And the one question I'm going to leave you with tonight is the Most High concerned about the color of a man's skin, or is he concerned about the soul that he created? This has been Moray Robert B. Holman Jr.
And Moray Sean Appleton.
And this has been
Hebrews in Exile. Shalom.